Okay, so now we come down to point 11, which is our building plan template. This is what we use to design a recipe to build all the information that we need into one spot and keep it systemized every single time. So let's have a look at this point now. Full building plan is given to the receptionist or your admin person to type 5 days before it's due to go to the client and 12 working days after the inspection. Now that's just working on, say, maybe 3 weeks from the time of initial site inspection through to actually delivering the building plan. Now when I say building plan, I'm referring to a building plan which is actually the quote. Let's take a look at that. And now the reason I call it a building plan is just to make yourself stand out and be a little bit more professional. Every other builder is going to be delivering a quote, but if you can say that you're delivering a building plan, which is a plan of how you're actually going to build their house or how you're going to put their renovation project together, it sounds a little bit more professional. So you'll hear me refer to that throughout the 5-stage checklist. Whenever I say the building plan, that basically is the quote that you're putting together for the client. So looking at this template, you've got an area where you can insert your logo, or this may be printed over your letterhead. And then coming down, you've got the quote number. Now this is the same number as the initial inquiry number that we referred to back in the inquiry stage checklist. That gets carried through right through the project. Who it's prepared for, client name, address and details, description of the works, time from completion. You'll work that out after you calculate all the costs and everything that's involved in the project. Date of possession, a little note there that you understand to execute all the works in accordance with any plans, scope of works that you may have used to quote on. Then we go down, the amount of the tender, the tax, and then the total. And then just some notes there, what the tender may be subject to, time frame, written agreement, how long it's going to be valid for, date, and then the signature at the bottom. Now, you'll see there again, I've got signed by building advisor. I refer to the building advisor throughout this whole set of steps. That's your sales rep or your person that's meeting with the client. That may be you or it may be an external person. Here we just have a summary of all the points or all the resources that are going to be included in your plan. If we run down here, you can see you've got design stage, preliminaries, site establishment, supervisor, surveyor, water connections, demolition, excavation, termite treatment, engineer, equipment hire, concrete works, structural steel, carpentry, external cladding, nails, bolts and screws, fascia gutter, roofing, windows and doors, texture coating, external fit out, plumbing, electrical, scaffolding, brickwork, rendering, gyprocker, tongue and groove flooring, staircase, waterproofing, kitchen joinery, internal fit out, tiling, plumbing fitting, landscaping, painting, air conditioning, appliances, carpets and vinyl, light fittings, site clean, building clean, glass screens and mirrors, exclusions, maintenance and any notes. Now every one of these is going to have a subset of bits and pieces underneath it. So we'll go through and we'll have a look at all these bits and pieces here now. We're not going to read everything line by line, but it basically just gives you an idea of what is in this building plan to make up a recipe to design your very own quote that you can give to the client. So you may or may not use all of these. Now, what I'll show you can do is either delete some of these points or add your own points in. And that's the same for any of these index points up here. You may have another resource or trade that you use on your project. Just add it in, or if there's some of these that you don't use, delete it out. The whole idea is this is to have as much information to maybe build or design your own home or a home for a client. But if you only specialize in renovations, then you can customize this to suit your specific renovation or your specific type of work that you do. So let's look at here at the design stage. This is more if you're one of the companies that offer all the services for going out, meeting with the client, actually drafting, designing the plans, coming up with the interior design, and basically taking their ideas and putting them down onto paper. If you don't do that, then you may be able to remove this design stage right from your template altogether. Or maybe there's points in here that you do and don't do. So let's say item 1 is design the concept plans, meeting with council to discuss, take the photos, check on requirements for the local council, check if it's in a heritage conservation area. But then item 2 might be a double up. Council meeting, meet with the council duty officers, town planners to discuss some of the designs and concepts. Say you don't do that. Let's delete that altogether. And now you'll see here, you watch, this is point 1.2, delete. And now that's gone, the next item automatically becomes 1.2. So if I was to delete, let's say 3 of these points here, you can see right down at the bottom, we're at 1.8. automatically renumbers them all the way down. So like I said, if you don't do any of these, you might delete this whole section altogether, or you can start adding items in. So again, if there's something under here that I want to add in, if I just hit enter, that will give me another point, and we could put there. So you might have another point there. Maybe there's a fee to go out and discuss the plans. Whatever you need, you can add it in or remove it. Okay, what preliminaries do you have? Insurances, any homeowner's warranty, any public liability, anything that you might need to have there, you can add in. Site establishment. Now here's a good one to have a look at all the items that you might need when first setting up the site. So builder's bins, erosion control rates for over 15 metres, silt socks, footpath crossovers, fees for council bins, council deposits or bonds that you may need for bins or site protection. Signage, what builder signage requirements are needed. Is there something specific for that job you may need to make? All weather access, crushed rock for vehicles, machinery hire, temporary partitions, protective plastics that may need to go down to cover the floor, protective plywood, tape, safety fencing. You get the picture. So again, if it's only a small project and you don't have any of those, just go through and delete what items you don't need, or add in something specific for your project. So you get the idea. Again, you can add items in or delete items that may not be required for that particular job. As you run down here, the supervisor. Do you have an allowance for a supervisor or a site foreman? Surveyor, what items do you need in surveying? Is it a full pin out? Is it to do the footings? Do you need to do identification reports? Is it for duplexes? Do you need to get land and title surveys? There's a whole number of surveys that you may or may not need. Again, you can add or remove. What water connection, sewer connection is in an existing property. You can see I've got in there Sydney Water, but you can take that out and change that to whatever country or state you're in. Demolition, electrical and plumbing disconnections. Are there windows to be removed, bathrooms, kitchens, laundries? This is more for a renovation. Maybe roof tiles come off, existing walls, floorboards, or it may just be that you've got a complete house removal. If you're building a new house, a knockdown rebuild, you can just take that last point and maybe remove all the others. Excavation, what sort of excavation are you doing? You're coming in and cutting the site. Do you need bobcat hire, bulk excavation, any rock hammer hire, ripper hire, auger bits, diamond saws, any hand excavation? Again, if you're working on a smaller renovation, you can't get machinery in, any allowances for that? Any water tank excavation? Again, these are all points we're putting down everything that you can possibly think of, and then it's up to you to take it out and remove it. And it's for when you're sitting down thinking about the project, it might just spark something that you hadn't thought about initially, and you go, that's right, I need to allow for that point, or this point, or take that out. Trying to cover everything that you need for a project. Termite treatment. You can see I've got highlighted there the cordon termite barrier treatment. That might be something totally different. If you use a Termi-Mesh product or a different type of system, you can add that in or remove it. Do you need it for piers, perimeter? Is it full sheet required? Engineer. What type of engineering fees do you need? Do you need him to draft it? Do you need inspections covered? Dilapidation reports? Equipment hire. There's a whole range of equipment hire that you may need for the project there. Concrete works. You're going to have strip footings, isolated piers, concrete slabs, raft slabs, waffle pods. Again, a whole range of bits and pieces that you can choose from. Is there block fill, shotcrete, concrete pumping, structural steel, carpentry? So you kind of get the point there. When we go into carpentry, you'll see there's a lot of bits and pieces we can add in here for bearers and joists, ribbon plates, floor joists, particle board flooring, aquacheck, permi-tarp if you're doing first floor additions and you need to cover up the roof, frame labour, trusses, plywood break. There's everything that you can think of here, either for a renovation or for building a new home. Entry doors, cavity sliders, internal fit outs, picture rails, bearers and joists. Again, there's privacy screens, everything that may spark you when you're quoting this job to think about what would be required from a carpentry point of view. External cladding, nails, bolts and screws. Again, you get the point. I'll scroll down here so you can basically stop at this at any point if you need to have a look at what's included. Roofing, is it concrete tiles? Is it ColourBond, tin? Windows and doors. Are you going to have timber, Western red cedar? Are they going to be Meranti? What type of timber will they be? What type of aluminium would they be? Are you going to have a UPVC? All types of windows that you can select from there. Do you need louvers or glass blocks? Is that required for the BASIX or energy report? Do they need to be bushfire rated? We've got texture coating. Any texture coating on the property? External fit out, things like entry doors, garage doors. Plumbing, you've got a whole range of items that you can put in there for stack work, sewer work, wall chasing, stormwater, gas lines. Even some retrofit fire collars. There's things you can think of there if it might be more of a commercial job. Electrical, same thing, single power points, double power points. How many light points there might be, two-way switching, data points, switchboard upgrades, smoke detectors, TV aerials, alarms. These are things, again, add, remove. We've got everything covered there that you may need. Scaffolding hire, any weekly rates. Brickwork, face bricks, common brickwork, Besser blocks, any sanded cement allowances, materials. Any lintels you may need, deliveries, rendering, internal, external walls, any patchwork, white set render that might be needed, skim coats, and gyprocking or drywall plaster. What type of walls? Is there any fire check? Ceilings, thickness of the board, type of board, villa boards for wet areas, any cornices, any decorative plaster that may be needed, any patchwork, tongue and groove flooring, any parquetry, any ply that needs to go under, any acoustic underlay, 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, types of boards, select grade, non-select, sanding and polishing, types of finishes, staircase, what type of staircase, MDF, pine, hardwood, steel stringers, mono stringers, just about every type of staircase you can think of there. Waterproofing, type of waterproofing, kitchen joinery, what allowances you might have made. You can see there's quite a bit here for kitchens, laundries, vanities, walk-in robes, wardrobes, pantries. Again, you may or may not need all this. You can add or remove. Window seats, linen cupboards, internal fit-out, tiling, ceramic tiling, porcelain, stone. Again, a lot of allowances there you can go through and have a look at. You might have separate allowances that your tiler needs to include. Plumbing fittings, landscaping, swimming pools, pool fencing, clotheslines, painting, internal, external, wallpaper, air conditioning, type of air conditioning, split systems, ducted appliances. Are there to be any to supply everything? Carpets and vinyl, light fittings, general notes for a site clean about labour, waste bins, final building clean, detail clean at the end of the project, what you've allowed for, glass screens and mirrors, some exclusions at the end there, what you may not have allowed for, any rock or bad ground, tree stump removal, any council fees, privacy screens, any notes that you may not use, just add them in there. Then you have things like your maintenance. What's your maintenance period? Is there a 13 weeks defects period, 26 weeks? You can work that out. What do you cover? How long do you warrant the work? You can add all that in if you like. Then you might just have some notes at the end stating what your builder's margin is. Then you may have all your rates at the end for like carpenters, plumbers, bricklayers, foreman's rates, labourers' rates, anything that you may want to add in there. Builder's license details, variations, just any notes that you may need. So that's it for our template. Let's go back and just maybe discuss why you need something like this. So there we go. That's point 11 on the quotation stage checklist. Now, the reason you need a building plan is really so that you can design a recipe, sit down and have something that you can pull from, do it once and then have it so you've got that customized maybe for a new house build. You might also be able to sit down and do another recipe for a renovation, maybe a granny flat, even a deck, whatever it might be. But the whole idea is to have something that you can pick from in point form to get you thinking about absolutely everything that you need to cover for that project. So once you've designed that recipe, you can give that to your admin person. They can upload that into your estimating program. Now, I'm not going to go through and talk about all the different estimating programs out there. There's quite a lot. But the whole idea would be that once you're working out those prices and you've got everything listed there in point form, you can print this out with a full price to give to your client. And then if they accept the project, then that's going to be converted into a job. And then that'll go through and do all your invoicing and accounts to go with it as well. So we'll cover that in the next couple of stages. But you see here, as we're going down the quotation stage checklist, this is just another item that can be ticked off and structured in a professional way. All right, now in the next videos, we'll cover some of the other points that we've got here in this checklist.